Welcome to a Chinese cube. This tiny little cube you can get from the Chinese Lucky Stars car pack. It is the 2022 Wuling Mini EV, also known as the Macaron, with a whopping 27 horsepower, 63 foot-pounds of torque, while weighing a very impressive 1,543 pounds. So an outstanding amount of power, I'm sure. It does look very, it looks interesting. It looks like the Chinese version of the Nissan Cube. Only somehow they've made it even smaller. Going to the inside, it is probably about as bland as you can get. I think that's a very small radio dial and potentially a cup holder. I'm not sure if that's a cup holder or an air vent, but let's go ahead and take a listen to the wonderful miniature kettle. So here we are now in the upgrade shop. Let's go ahead and jump over to a motor and battery and see what we can do with this thing from stock. We can go up to 30 horsepower, 32, or a whopping 35. This thing is so stupid. But then we get to a bit that says conversion, where we've actually got quite a fair few categories to choose from. But out of that, we can go ahead and swap in 671 brake horsepower, taking this thing right up into A class. Which, to be honest with this thing, sounds pretty much like not a good time. And the absolute cherry on top of the cube here is we can go ahead and give this thing a little wide body kit. This is cool. And if you want, you can also go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive as well. And also, to complement the wide body kit, we of course have got the robot rear wing as well. I love this thing, it's so stupid. So our resident tuner is a little busy at the moment, but I have found this tune called A Road, which promises to be interesting. There's a share code for it, so let's go ahead, install it, and see how far we get. So with those upgrades, this thing is around 1,741 pounds, with just over 300 brake horsepower at the top of A class. So with all those installed, now here we are over at the paint shop. We've got a couple of advanced paint group options this thing. Paint group number 1 being the main body of the car, and paint group number 2, let's go ahead and see if we can figure out what it is. Is it really just the side trim pieces? Is it seriously just that? Is that what the... okay, that's new. The Macaron is also living up to its name with the manufacturer colours, with a whopping 3 to choose from, including like a pink, a very, very bright orange, and also this rather nice sort of, I guess, mid-pale green. Now, I don't usually cover electric vehicles because, let's be honest, I'm not exactly a major fan of them. But I'd say the Wuling EV, the little Macaron here, this thing has got a little bit of a difference, something that sets it apart, and it's not just the wide body kit. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but first we've got a race to try and drive this thing in. And away we go. There's a little MG3 to our right. There's also a Ford Focus to our right. Now in front of us there's another little mini EV there, and the Ford... no, wait, I'm stupid. That's a Vauxhall. Right, let's go ahead and see if this thing can turn. I really, really hope it can, because somehow it can kind of put some power down out of the turns, but I think the one gear really is painful. Also, update, literally 2 seconds later, I've just tried changing it up a gear. Yeah, I can't do that, there's no gear in this thing. Okay, how are the brakes? We have sailed past into 6th, make that 5th. Ahead of us are actual decent cars. So if you wanted one of these, they're honestly not very expensive at all. You can get them from around $4,800 US all the way up to 14,700 USD. And in case you're wondering, this is how much it is in pounds sterling. Okay, come on, get past the Civic. It's not even the good model of Civic. There we go. This thing should not be doing what it's doing. I don't know how or why it is, but it is. Anyway, 95%, one more turn left to go. So around we go, and across the line in first place with the tiniest cube on the planet. This is stupid. We've also got a time of 2 minutes 9. So there we have it. The tiniest little thing actually managed to win a race. That is mad. But now we're going to go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive and also try and build up a little bit of a drag tune. So this should get very, very interesting very quickly because we are using the race motor. And of course, we're putting the wide body on this thing. We'd be stupid not to. Right, on go the drag racing tyres, and let's go ahead and upgrade the tyres from 145 all the way up to 205. Is that it? And now here's where it gets fun, because we're going to go ahead and take this thing from 671 horsepower up to 1,147. So, you know, nothing too major. So after a lot of upgrading, we're now 1,976 pounds in weight with 1,147 brake horsepower. I was like, why does an electric car have a petrol starter sound in this game? Can anybody explain that? And now here's the fun bit. It's, it's tuning the singular gear that this thing happens to have. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and repaint this thing. Yeah, there we go, that's better. You know, it's been over 3 years, they still haven't improved the optimization on the 1S. Please, can we have a patch for that? Okay, so here we are now over at the back of the Festival. Let's go ahead and see. Did we get a wheelie check out of this thing? Did we get it? Oh my god, we do. We actually get... I didn't expect that. And this is why the title says this car's so dumb, because it is, and I love it. Okay, here we're now over at the edge of the drag strip. Let's go ahead, get this thing on launch control. That feels so weird to say. And away we go, a steeping amount of power and a very light car. So much wheel spin. We're still wheel spinning. Please get grip. There we go, we got grip at 140. This thing is dumb. It's so dumb. Right, we've got 210 through the camera and off the end of the runway at 212, and still a lot more space to go for top speed and 0 brakes. Doesn't matter what car it is, it still doesn't like braking. Well, I was going to show off the Horizon backstage, but I can't say I've ever seen it do this before. In the meantime, now it is time to ask the impossible of this thing, because we're going to go ahead, swap out the tyres, and hopefully see if this thing can actually set down a pretty decent top speed. Not going to lie, if it does, I'm going to be a little bit concerned. So now we go ahead and tweak the singular gear this thing's got, and hope we get a top speed. To be honest, I say that because under launch control, I don't know if this thing will move at all. As ever, it is now time to play How Close Can We Get to the Motorway Grey? I really should make a proper, like, little, like a jingle or something for that, but let's go ahead and see how close do we get today, and we've passed it. We've gone too far. Just going to go ahead and back up a little bit. Okay, here we are now at the edge of the motorway. This thing from the side, honestly, it just looks like a toy car, but let's go ahead, put it on launch control, and away we go with probably the worst launch control in the world. But now we have got some wheel spin, and hopefully, there we go, now we've got some traction. Let's go. This might be the dumbest top speed run I think I've ever done, but I'm here for it. And out of the speed zone at 233 out of the tiny little Chinese cube. This thing is stupid with an engine swap, but it's so fun. Well, let's go ahead and see if this thing can hold its own going downhill, because we're nearly there. And through the camera, 235, going downhill, 236, 237, 238, 239 for a second. Did we hit 240? No, maybe 240 was a bit much to ask of this thing, but 239 out of the tiny pink cube. Didn't think I'd be doing that today. But as ever, there's one thing left to do. Quite honestly, I can't believe I'm doing this. And now let's go ahead and take the cube drifting. Let's go ahead and see what we get out of this thing. If we actually get a good score, I'm going to be very concerned and honestly a bit worried. But let's go ahead and see. We are very sideways and out the drift zone at 40,624 points. Out of this! I don't even have any words to describe this thing. It's just stupid. Okay, round 2, here we go. 40,000 points to beat. Let's go ahead, throw in the cube, we get very sideways. Let's try and not hit the bridge. Oh, that's not going well. It's still not going well. Can we at least make it outside of the drift zone? We can. 36,778 points. Of which out of this thing is quite honestly just daft. Now, I found something interesting out about electric vehicles in this game. So let's go ahead, keep this thing in reverse, and just floor it. No steering. Well, okay, maybe a little bit of steering, just so we can get some grip. But let's go ahead and see what we can get out of this thing in reverse, because at the moment we're doing 120, 130, 140, 150 in reverse. Well, we're going to get through the camera in reverse. 178. This thing's doing 200 backwards. Excuse me? 211, 213. Oh god, we're going to space. Well, after a very interesting tumble down the rock face there, this thing has hit over 200 in reverse. This thing is so dumb. But like I said earlier, this thing is from the Chinese Lucky Stars car pack. It's pretty much useless for anything apart from being daft and just having some fun. So if you want a little bit of a tiny little cube just to mess around with your mates in, then this is definitely going to be the car for you. Although with it being this small, can I even really call it a car? I'll leave that one up to you to tell me in the comments. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'll go ahead and see you all in the next one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Tech out. See ya. And past the Macaron we go!